Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play the remake of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we are continuing our journey through Persona 3 Reload, covering the months of June and July, finishing just after finishing the school year. But before we get to all of that, how was y'all's week?
I'd like to finish July, please. Sorry, go ahead.
Like the day after we last recorded, I finished Persona 3 Reload, and I was not following a guide. I was just like looking up tips and stuff. I completed all social links and all linked episodes, except I fucked up one day in January, and Chihiro was stuck at level 9. And I had enough time for it. I just didn't realize that another social link wouldn't be available for no good reason on a random day where they normally would have been available. So I had to waste a day. And I couldn't go far enough back with the rewind function. I did have an old save, but that would have taken me back before a few Tartarus visits, which would have been so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So... But I did start again.
Yeah.
And also, because I'm just crazy, not only am I doing New Game Plus on Persona 3 Reload, I've also started playing Persona 3 Portable. And,
yes, join me!
Wow. The original voice acting is not as good as I remembered.
I told you! I was the fucking ghost of Christmas past. I fucking warned you!
I think some of it is probably just like some of these actors who I know can do better than this. Maybe they've gotten better over the years, but also I think it's probably a matter of just like direction, access to materials, that kind of thing, making it
I think it was 100% direction. I think direction is one of the biggest factors.
Yeah, because just voice acting in video games in general is just a lot better now, and it can't just be all voice actors just decided to get better all at the same time. But it's so weird hearing, like, sitting down and listening to Tara Platt and Liam O'Brien have a conversation and being like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But
agreed.
Yeah, and Sam was weird about how he said where we're stopping this week, so I don't actually know if we get introduced to the character that I want to talk about right now. So we'll see.
Is it Aigis or Ken?
Yeah,
or the
Aigis.
Okay, yes, we're stopping after Aigis.
Okay. Aigis' original voice acting is hilarious. Because, like...
It's so robotic.
Yeah, it's like, wow, the Kirito group did not... they did not care about making the vocal production sound at all human. Like, Siri is like Siri when introduced was like miles ahead of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. I mean, the actor was very clearly just like doing what they were directed to do very well.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it was the wrong direction. I think Aigis' new voice acting still sounds artificial, but sounds like an actual artificial thing, if that is a phrase that makes sense.
Totally. I did a whole rigor. So I realized I've been putting off doing a name change legally because it costs money, and I don't have money. And then someone pointed out to me that the state I'm in actually has things to waive the costs if you're poor, and I'm poor. So I went and did like this whole trip a couple of days ago in the morning. I stayed up because I've been lately sleeping during the day, being awake at night. I stayed up so I would be able to go to when the library opens up, print out the forms I needed. Then immediately I was like, hey, Google Maps says there's a note. One of them has to be notarized. There's a notary right across the street from the library. That's perfect. I go up to this building and it's abandoned. And I look, and despite all evidence online that this is still an open business with hours, it's not. So I'm like, okay, well, there's one other in town, and it's on the way between here and home. I can just stop by the constable's office and do that. Go by there, don't seem to be open. I call the phone number, and the dude picks up, is like, huh? Yeah, no, I'm like several cities away. You have to make appointments for that. And I was like, okay, can I just make an appointment? I'll do it later, I guess. He's like, I mean, you can. You just need something notarized. You could go to the town hall and they do that for free. I'm like, oh, thank you for that information, I guess. So I go to the town hall, have a lovely time there. The town hall, where I live, is really nice. Specifically, the voter registrar's office, which is where they do the notarizing. The ladies there are very nice. As I came in, there was a couple of elder ladies there who were signing up to vote and talking about the Project 2025 thing and how horrified they were by it and how they absolutely needed to vote this election. Which, let me tell you, goddamn, that was a nice thing to hear. Um, so I get it notarized. There's one downside. There's two, like, I was about to say this like this is a big thing. Like any, if you live on a street, there's two ways to approach your house, obviously.
Mhm.
And going to town hall meant going back the way I'd come in the first place, which is bad because that way is an extremely steep hill. And goddamn, by the end of this, anytime I have to climb that thing coming home, I end up I have to collapse and die, especially in summer. So that was a whole adventure. I just now have to file that with the courthouse, and I will legally be Trish, which will be nice because I have a job interview tomorrow, and I have to put down whenever I'm doing, you know, job applications. I have to put my old name down, and then I have to, the first time I make any sort of contact with these businesses, be like, okay, so by the way, my name is actually Trish. It's just not that legally yet, and it's just like a little annoying thing that makes all of these interactions like 5 times harder.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm really excited for that to no longer be a thing.
I am excited for you.
How are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing great. So, when last we left our heroes, I was starting Games Made Quick to make Dragon Quest out
Yeah.
of Godot 4, and I did not succeed. But what I did do is make the Dragon Quest dialogue system and like events and overworld stuff. Most importantly, that the battle start animation is exactly like the old battle start animation, which was hard to do, and I'm very, very proud of that. And it
Yay!
was a whole lot of fun, and it awoke a monster in me that just wants to do game dev and not things like uh my day job or anything else. And
Mm-hmm.
so I hope to finish making that remake and then start up my own project and also finish the one of Bernard's that I was supposed to have everything finished and published in the next 2 weeks, and I'm not gonna hit that deadline. But yeah, I'm very excited for game development. So
Yay!
if you out there are wanting to get into game development, you should a use Godot. It's free, and the people that use it are all nice. Like I'm in the.
Yay!
This is the only Discord that's not tied to RPG Book Club that I don't have muted because the people there are nice and like actually helpful and very. Because it's open source, it's very much like all of us are in this together, and
Mm-hmm.
even the people that made Cassette Beasts, which was made in Godot, like they're just hanging out, being like, "Oh yeah, you totally need to just do this tutorial, blah 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 blah," and it's super great. Secondly, pick a game that is some old retro game that already exists that is similarly related to something that you want to do, and try and create it from scratch and make it exactly right, because if you remove all of the creative questions from your mind, you will focus on learning what you need to learn and not okay, but how do I make this cool? Because you're not trying to make this cool. You're trying to make this Dragon Quest, or you're trying to make this um, Biomiracle Bakutuba, or whatever game you choose to pick. And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's very, very fun, and I highly recommend it for anyone who's into that sort of thing.
That sounds so cool. I love that advice. It's really good.
Hmm.
The fact that you mentioned, you a lot of the rest of your time you're just kind of like hanging out, thinking about working with this this game development system. Uh, would you say you were just kind of standing around waiting for Godot?
You know how many times that pun is used in their Discord? the
I'm
up,
sure a lot, but that's one of my favorite plays of all time, and I have to make the joke.
yeah, the patch notes channel in the thing is called Waiting for Godot because you're waiting for Godot 4.3, which is beautiful. But other than that, Scarlet and Storm joined a soccer league for the summer, which was really cool. Scarlet had her first practice and she had a mental breakdown. And then she had her first
Oh,
game and had a mental breakdown. But she says she's having fun. So sucks to be her coach and her teammates. But Scarlet's having fun, and I think it's good for her. But Storm did not have a practice, and in fact did not have a coach. And they still scheduled his team for a game supposed to be this morning. And me and Summer said, no, we signed up to this so that our kids would have some semblance of structure, and it literally just being six kids running around and kicking a soccer ball with no guidance whatsoever is not the thing. And so Storm is no longer doing soccer because, I mean, he wouldn't be doing soccer. He would be meeting up with strangers once a week to kick a soccer ball. So, that's a very, very odd thing that they didn't just be like, "Oh, hey, we don't have enough coaches this year. Everybody who doesn't have a coach, like, blah blah blah, will either put more people on other teams to spread them out, or will automatically refund people, or apologize, or overload a coach, or something. Do literally any option except for y'all figure it out." Which kind of is like, why are we paying money if we just have to figure everything out? But it is what it is. So we're going to find something for Stormy to do for the summer. But yeah, it's just insane
yeah.
to me that they didn't just cancel it. We had to go and ask for a refund. Very, very weird.
Really
But
weird.
yeah. Other things that are weird are I don't know. Nothing really weird happened this week. That was a bad segue.
There's
But
a
let's talk about.
robot.
I mean, a robot's kind of weird. Yeah. But the weirdest thing that happens this week is that all of the trans rage has already happened for the episode and will not be happening for the rest of the episode, which is wild. And I'm excited to talk about it that
For a
way.
Persona game, it's incredible.
Specifically for the
I
July.
will say, as a conspiracy theorist and that is involved in multi-level marketing schemes, I am very offended by what they replaced it with.
Wait, I'm confused. What?
Yep, we'll get there when we get there. But for now, let's listen to some more of this kick-ass music, and then we'll talk about Persona 3 Reload. Alright, so last time on Persona 3 Reload, we got a new party member, Fuka. She had gotten trapped in Tartarus. We had to go in and save her, and then turns out she's better than Mitsuru, so now she is our navigator. After the fight where she was navigating for us, she had passed out, and so Akihiko and Mitsuru took her to the hospital, and they go back to visit her every day until she's released from the hospital. Where and then once she's released, we all have a meeting to try to ask her if she wants to join us. Ikutsuki informs us that all three girls have recovered from the ordeal at Tartarus, but Fuka blames herself because all of the rumors spread because she's absent so often. Mitsuru assures her that it was only with her help that the girls were saved, so she's actually the hero and not the cause of everything. And so, in fact, we all suck without you, so you should please join us. Fuka, without skipping a beat, literally not being coerced whatsoever, Fuka's idea says, yes, definitely, absolutely.
You hear that, Yukari? You don't need to talk to me about it every single fucking day we go to school. And if you need to talk to someone about it, maybe you should talk to, I don't know, Fuka or Mitsuru, the two people involved that you are worried about this. Stop coming to me about it, okay? I can't do anything.
It's literally every single day for like 2 weeks. She's like, I don't know if this is right. Like, we basically made Fuka do it. And Totino's is like, no, he didn't. She goes, I don't know. We'll talk about this tomorrow.
Here's the thing: is what you're saying is factually true, and it truly did not occur to me because I was every time it happened, I was like, I'm really glad I don't have another dumb thing from Junpei this morning on the way to school. Like, sure, like you have, like, the thing is, what she's explicitly complaining about, completely bullshit. Her being suspicious of C's and this rich group doing things, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not entirely behind. Like, I would not be surprised if there's some shady shit going on either, girl.
Yeah. I mean, she should be suspicious of C's and the Kirito group and everything, but like the specific thing of, was Fuka coerced into joining us? And I'm like, I don't know. She seemed pretty gung-ho about it.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I can't do anything about it. You should talk to her.
So the group all discussed the stuff that we noticed about how the major arcana shadows all show up on the full moon, and so we're like, it'll probably happen at the next full moon. We need to get ready for whenever it happens. Ikutsuki gives everyone a new outfit and a special evoker cartridge that teaches everyone theurgy, aka limit breaks, and they're really cool. Everyone's outfit is fantastic and way better than their regular one, except for Totino's, who I literally cannot tell what's different about his outfit. They give him the same exact like. They give him the same exact like zoom in and pan up and everything. I'm like, he's wearing his school uniform. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, he's got the different tall armband.
Yeah.
Also, is it just me, or did they bite off more than they could chew with the camera movements in that anime scene?
Oh, absolutely.
That night in the dark hour, the mysterious boy visits us, and he says that the end is still coming, but it feels like it might not be unavoidable anymore. He asks if he can be our friend, and finally gives us his name, Pharos, and we begin the death social link with him.
I'm sure that's fine. Another thing about the voice acting in original Persona 3, Pharos fucking sounds like Mickey Mouse in that game.
Oh, he absolutely does.
Yo, you're right.
He still sounds weird, but he sounds like weird in a creepy way, not weird in a oh my god way.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna die in a year.
So now that Fuka is our navigator, Mitsuru can join the battle party and cast Mir and Karen on every single shadow in Tartarus. Except in this game, I'm in charge, and so I, on purpose, do not cast Mir and Karen from Mitsuru. If I need to cast it, Totino's will pull one of his personas out to do it. I'm not letting Mitsuru cast Mir and Karen this entire game. I have a grudge.
Why? Wait, why do you have a grudge? What?
In Persona 3 and Persona 3 FES, you can't directly control the party members. They're on AI.
Oh.
And Mitsuru just loved casting Mir and Karen on things that could not get charmed.
Mm-hmm. Like, it would say, like, turn 1 she tries, and it'll be like, immune. Turn 2, she's like, is it though? Is it immune? Let me try one more time.
Oh my! So you're telling, because I've only played this in portable, you're telling me that before that you couldn't even go, no, I actually want to control my party members, please.
Yeah, apparently
we're on auto control the whole game.
Apparently there was like a Game Shark code you could plug in if you needed it.
Fuck.
But yeah. Fuck
that.
And like, That always struck me as odd because I don't know the way the battle system works. It's like it works really well for strategy and figuring stuff out and
Mhm.
making a
Yeah.
plan, which you can't do so well when three of the party members do their own thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, and
It-
part of I haven't talked about it a lot, but like part of the fun for this is for me has been having played Persona 2, the first time I was, guesting on the podcast and being able to look at that as like, okay, so Persona 3 is them iterating off of that. This is the direct sequel to Persona 2, both
mhm.
games of it. You can fucking control your party members in that.
Yeah, it makes sense from like a thematic thing, and actually playing it, it's not so bad except for Mitsuru, and then
You
the
pretty much just don't bring Mitsuru with you.
yeah, and then
Oh, but I
the,
love
if you
her.
go back and listen to the first season, me and Maddie both had to do the final boss over again because I guess used a kill myself move instead of a heal the party move. So there's a couple times like that, but the themes of the game, especially compared to number two, this one is all about your bonds with your party members, and as
Mhm.
you increase those bonds with them, they like react better and do better in the battles and stuff. And so it's like I don't get to control them, but I get to be their friend, and that helps them better in battle. It's kind of cool, but I also prefer the fact that it's not there
I
anymore.
think that, yeah, like that's a very cool thematic concept. It also, I don't think sounds like the most fun thing for this specific battle system and this like genre.
Yeah. Anywho, so the team heads to Tartarus, and with our cool new outfits, we have the theurgy tutorial. I was going to skip it, but it actually rules. It's just a tutorial, but it gives Yukari some character development in this part of the game before she's allowed to have character development. The original text just has her like, "Oh man, I don't know. Should we trust Mitsuru?" Until you get to Yakushima at the end of the month. And so this one you actually get to hang out with Yukari some. So in the tutorial, Fuka looks into Tartarus and sees some weird distortion, so we go to investigate it. But when we teleport in, we all get separated. Yukari is looking around for her teammates when she gets attacked and screams. Totino's is close by, so he runs to help her, which feels like a totally normal thing to do because Totino's is the main character, so of course he would be the one getting the tutorial. But no, as soon as the battle starts, the Shadow instantly gets several crits on Totino's and he nearly dies. Yukari yells, not at the Shadow, but at herself. She's the weakest member of the team, and she's always having to be saved by others, so she feels like a drag on the team, but no longer. She's not going to cry every time she uses her persona anymore. She's not just going to be a dead weight. In fact, she's going to use the power of anime and unleash her theurgy move, which uses Persona 5 like in-game cutscenes to make her super kick-ass, where she whoops the Shadow's ass right away. Right away. It kind of rules. I really
It
liked it.
rules. I think it's a great character moment to add on because, as far as I can tell, this system is new to Reload,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, this is I think a really good character moment for her, especially just from earlier in the game. Our main character, which, newer to this than she is, and yet the first, time you summon your persona, it happens because she struggles to do so. It's something that she's not used to and has issues with, which is understandable. It's normal to have hesitation about putting a gun to your head and pulling the trigger.
Hmm. A few weeks later, Ikutsuki calls the group together to discuss the research that he's been doing into the shadows. He tells us that the shadows are classified into 12 different groups, the 12 different arcanas, and the ones that we've attacked recently have been numbers 1 through 4 in order, so we probably have about 8 more to deal with.
It's kind of funny that it's like, oh yes, it's the 12 Arcana, but it's like there are 20 Arcana though.
Yeah. In
Plus the
the
ones they just sometimes make up in these games.
Mhm. Then in the dark hour, we see someone wake up out of their coffin, but they aren't assaulted by a shadow, but are rather approached by Russell Brand, a filler arc Naruto character, and Reira from Trap Nest. These people apparently have been looking for this guy who just woke up. someone has a grudge against him and asked them to get revenge. The guy is like, what the fuck? Who sent you? And then Russell Brand is very normal about things and draws a
Yeah.
magnum pistol out and shoots the man. Not an evoker, not a toy gun that becomes real during the dark hour. It's just a full on real ass gun and shoots the guy dead. Well,
Which
not
he was
all the way dead, but
storing,
close enough.
which he was storing in his fucking waistband.
Yeah.
I will say Takaya is the one character that I think I like the original voice acting a little better
Yeah.
because
That's fair.
his new voice acting is so over the top. I'm a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And his old voice acting is pretty over the top. I'm a villain, but not quite so much.
I feel like I agree, but I also have a hard time being like, why'd you make it so over the top? When this man's character design is just like insert that meme of I know writers use subtlety and they're all cowards.
I saw someone say like this guy looks more like he belongs in Florida than Japan.
Yeah.
He's so weird.
He really does.
The next day at school, rumors start to fly about a revenge a revenge website. I can't fucking talk today. And if you post the name of someone on the revenge website, they'll ephemeral their veil. They don't know who, but they'll get revenge for you. Yukari pulls Fuka aside and asks her if she can use her power to research into some student disappearances at the school around 10 years ago. The disappearances were just marked as people missing, but Yukari thinks it has something to do with shadows, and when she talks to Mitsuru about it, Mitsuru clams up, so something weird seems to be going on. Then, a week before the full moon, like clockwork, Pharos comes to us in the dark hour and warns us that the next ordeal will be in 1 week on the full moon. So we spend a week preparing for the worst, and then in the dark hour on the 7th, Fuka finds a large shadow out in the city on Shirokaro Boulevard, home to a sleazy love hotel that the students have been rumoring about over the last month. Ikutsuki says that they've been finding apathy syndrome cases in pairs lately, and this would explain why, if it's all happening when they go to the love hotel. So we head over to the definitely love-themed hotel, where obviously things are about love, and we find the first major arcana boss, the Hierophant. So obviously that's the one we were trying to find, and we beat him really easy, and that's it. We can go home. But of course, the doors are locked, and we can't get out. Fuka senses another shadow in the room, but we can't see it, so we search around and find a large mirror in the room that doesn't have our shadow in it. And when we investigate it, we all black
Or a
out and get
reflection,
separated.
you might say.
What did I say?
You said it didn't have our shadow in it.
Yes, our reflection. Sorry. To be fair, the word shadows is all over this page right now.
The reflection isn't a shadow. This isn't Persona 4.
Yes. So the party gets separated. Oh my god, in my notes I even wrote Yukari is in the middle of a shadow instead of a shower. God damn it. So the party gets separated. Yukari is taking a shower for some reason, and Totino's is hanging out in the heart-shaped bed outside of her bathroom. And he doesn't remember what he was just doing, or even why he's in a love hotel at all. And a voice calls out to his head and tries to convince him that the only thing that matters is the present, and he should give in to his desires, and he should do whatever he wants. But he's able to clear his mind and shove it out. The shower turns off, and Yukari walks sultrily into the room in only her bath towel. But when after she does, she comes to, looks down, realizes she's in a towel, has no idea why, slaps Totino's and runs off.
I feel kind of bad for Totino's. He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
I also feel bad for Yukari. She's been put in this weird situation. No one wins here.
No.
Actually, as I will explain later regarding the portable version, I won, but we'll get to that.
So Fuka reaches out to Totino's. She hadn't been able to contact us before because the shadow was crowding her out of our thoughts, which is the first time I realized, oh, we don't have earpieces. Mitsuru and Fuka just use their persona to speak into our brains, like, magically, which is
directly stimulate the small bones of our ears.
Oh yeah, she says that in Fest, doesn't she?
What?
Just oh no, that's Metal Gear, isn't it? Okay. I was like, that sounds familiar. I was like, wait, is that from the original because you're playing it right now? But no, it's Metal Gear. That's why it's
No, I
familiar.
was making a joke.
Okay. So the shadow is still apparently in that same room as before. So we decide to regroup back on the third floor and figure out what's happening. But there's a barrier that doesn't let us up to the third floor, and Fuka senses that they are tied to the mirrors in the rooms. So if we bust them up, we can disrupt the barrier and make it to the third floor. We find the mirrors that are tied to the shadow, which don't have reflections in them, and we bust them up. And then we're able to charge into the previous room where there is another major arcana shadow. This one is the lovers. We take it out in a boss fight, and we have a rousing success. But little do we know, this is the last time we'll have an interesting arcana boss mission for the rest of the game. All of the other ones are just kind of a room where the shadow is. I remember the first time we played through it, we were talking about all the cool dungeon design of this game so far, and this is the last one.
I mean, there's an upcoming one where we have to go down a pretty long hallway.
Yeah, the hallway dungeon.
Yeah. So we pat each other on the back for our job well done, and we start heading back to the dorm. Fuka tells Yukari that she found out some of the info that she was looking for about those disappearances, and they'll talk about it later. As the team walks off, the camera pans up and we see that Russell, Brand, Layla, and the filler arc Naruto guy are watching from a nearby rooftop. I can't wait until the game names them so that I can refer to them by either their names or the name of their group. But until then, jokes.
I also can't wait until the game clearly and definitively explains their motivations and goals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's definitely gonna happen.
Yep.
I've played through this whole game, and I can tell you, we definitely know why they're doing a revenge site and all that. It's all good. Good
why are you
villains.
doing this to me? Why do I have to find out this way?
I'm sorry.
It's
So-
fine.
They are impressed with Caesar's progress and are trying to figure out if we are allies or enemies, and so they'll have to ask their buddy what he thinks. As for us, it's back to school and our next round of exams before summer break. Before class one day, we overhear some students talking about how well equipped and clean their school is, and someone is like, well, yeah, our school was rebuilt after that explosion 10 years ago. And another person was like, well, it's not just the explosion. A bunch of kids went missing too. They probably wanted a clean slate. A couple days later, Ikutsuki calls us all to the dorm to debrief what happened at the night of the full moon. But before he can say anything, Yukari is like, hey, I'd like to hijack this meeting real quick to ask Mitsuru a question. What the fuck?
Fair enough.
She asks about the incident 10 years ago and what Mitsuru knows about it. Mitsuru lays it all out. 14 years ago, there was someone who knew about shadows in the dark hour and thought that this would be a good idea to try and harness the shadows as a power source. And this idiot was Albert Einstein, aka Koetsu Kirijo, Mitsuru's grandfather. And then around 10 years ago, he was conducting some experiments on the shadows at Gekukan, and it went very poorly. He gathered a huge mass of shadows, but they exploded, and that explosion broke them into 12 tarot card themed pieces, which dispersed and disappeared, and only recently have started to show back up, which is why Mitsuru and Akihiko have been gathering second years to help fight the shadows to clean up after Kirijo's mess. Yukari is pissed, but Ikutsuki says that this isn't any of our faults. The people who are at fault all died because of their hubris, and all of us are left around to pick up the pieces. But the good news is that it looks like if we succeed at destroying all 12 Arcana shadows, we will put an end to the Dark Hour, Tartarus, and all of the crimes of Kirijo. Yeah, so we've taken down 6 of the shadows so far, which means that 6 of them remain. After the meeting, Mitsuru pulls Fuka aside. If she found out this much information from just the public, who doesn't even know that the Dark Hour exists, She should use Mitsuru's company login to find out the truth because Mitsuru also doesn't trust her company and feels that there's something else going on. And if you talk to Ikutsuki optionally afterwards, you can ask him a bunch of questions and you find out why Mitsuru doesn't trust them. They developed the evokers and the Batcave computer and all of the stuff that we know about personas by conducting tons of experiments on Mitsuru, who would have been around 7 years old at the time. So yeah, they kind of suck and we shouldn't trust them. Pharos visits us in the dark hour again, saying that the end of the world that's coming is tied to an event that happened around 10 years ago. Hey, isn't that when your parents died? That's interesting, but it's probably nothing. Good night.
It's fine.
Just asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, lots of things happened 10 years ago. It was a whole fucking year.
Mm-hmm. So the whole group gets together and they are studying the night before exams. I have no idea why my mouth is glued shut today. I just can't fucking talk. So the whole group gets together the night before exams, and Junpei laments that he won't be able to go to the beach for summer break. But Akutsuki comes in and says that he'll be going to the Kirijo group's vacation resort in Yakushima over summer break, and we should all go get a change of scenery. After a week, we ace our exams and we head out for a celebratory dinner when Akutsuki says that he has a new recruit for us, an elementary student named Ken. His parents are dead, so he's staying in the elementary school dorms, but during the summer, all the other kids go home. So Akutsuki says that he can stay in our dorm for the summer because he's also a Persona user.
Well, he has the potential, and he's not technically a recruit yet. And also, Akihiko seems suspiciously upset by this.
So on Monday, we hop on a boat and we head out to Yakushima. And the anime part of heading out there that happens feels like it's exactly the same one from the movie, but I don't think it actually is. It just felt like beat for beat exactly the same. So I'd want to go back and check it, but it was weird. Like I said like Yakushima with Junpei as he said it. Like I knew it was coming, which is odd. The Kirijo vacation home is so fancy that it gets its own remix of Wanna Be Close, which rules and is fancy. And they have maids there waiting on us hand and foot. But Mitsuru's dad comes in and is like, hey, sorry that this place kind of sucks. I hope you can still make yourself at home. So we do, and the boys head straight to the beach, and I prepare myself for the worst. Old head RPG Book Club fans know why this beach sucks. And that thing is Akihiko and a Speedo. So after some...
I mean, the problem with Akihiko is that he's wearing a Speedo and a t-shirt, but with the camera angles, it just sort of looks like a Pooh Bear situation.
Yeah. We have some typical anime beach episode antics and then head back
which are really annoying.
Mm-hmm. And then we head back to the vacation house. One thing I do like about them, just like in a annoying beach episode sort of way, is as Junpei is ogling the girls as they come out in their bathing suit, they walk in just like normal people, and then Junpei starts to, oh, and first up we have Yukari, and she's wearing a blah 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 blah. It'll cut, and Yukari is like doing some sort of model pose, but her face is still pissed off at Junpei, and it's just the juxtaposition together is very funny, and I enjoyed it, but it's just anime beach episode stuff.
Yep.
So afterward, we head back to the vacation house where Mitsuru pulls her dad aside to talk to her. Surprisingly, he's like, well, why didn't you tell them everything? Like, obviously, you should talk to your friends. You should trust in others, not just try to do everything yourself. You also didn't need to hack my mainframe. You could have just asked me what happened. In fact, bring your friends over here. I'll tell them all about it myself.
It's really weird that this guy turns out to apparently be chill.
Right? He has the most sinister-ass character design, and he's just like, hello, I'm a responsible father who gives good advice.
Yeah, he's like, oh, all of the facial scarring? I was in an explosion 10 years ago. Of course I have facial scarring. That doesn't make me an evil person.
Well, like, honestly, like, I really appreciate his, like, great thing of, like, you're still blaming yourself. This isn't... You're a child. You were even more of a child when it happened. I was an adult. It's my fault. And I was like, you know what, dude? That's valid. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we all gather around, and he says that what Mitsuru said was true, and that it was the adults of the Kirijo family who are to blame for the incident, and that he wishes that he could have also atoned for his sins with his life, but he can't, so he's relying on us to right his wrongs. The experiment that they were doing on the shadows was to create a time manipulation device. Grandfather Kirijo wanted to be able to prevent misfortune from befalling the company by seeing the future and stopping it before it started. But along the way, his goals started twisting and he went a little bit insane about it. Dad Kirijo shows us a video recording of the accident taken by one of the scientists at the scene, which was Yukari's dad. Dad Takaba says in the video that he was the one that set off the explosion because if he didn't, the experiment would have destroyed the entire world. And whoever is watching this video needs to stop the shadows that were part of the experiment so that the damage can be undone. I love how Ikutsuki was like, "Oh, I went and did some investigation. I checked on it, and I think maybe if we destroys these, it'll save everything." The research he watched one video, and they told him exactly that.
I was buried in the archives or something.
Yukari, renowned distruster of the Kirijo group, is pissed. Not only did Mitsuru hide the incident from her, she also hid the fact that she knew what happened to her dad, and that he was responsible for the Dark Hour, Tartarus, the explosion, and all of it. She storms out, and Totino's goes to follow her. Outside, she opens up about how she's been so scared and was trying to push past it to find out what the Kirijo group did to her father, but turns out her father kind of was the one in charge of the whole thing, and now she's conflicted and doesn't really know what to do. During their heart-to-heart, it starts to get close to the dark hour, so Junpei comes and gets them so they can get inside and be safe before it hits. The next day, the girls are having a hike in the forest when they get
wearing very impractical shoes.
Absolutely.
It's just their normal character models, but those are their normal character models are wearing shoes for walking around like the dorm, not going on a hike in the woods.
I love even the swimsuit model for Mitsuru. She's wearing high heels. The one thing you don't wear in the sand. You should wear anything else, actually, Mitsuru.
Listen. She's got a style and she sticks to it, and I appreciate that. That's good. Even if it leads to you like breaking your ankles, it's fine.
The girls get a call from Ikutsuki. He says that an anti-shadow combat vehicle has left the lab and is piloting itself, so he wants us to find it and subdue it. They try to call the guys, but they're not answering. They're already at the beach for Operation Yakushima Beach Fling, not Operation Babe Hunt. So far, we're off to a good start. The guys strike out with girls that are too old for them before hitting it off with a lady who is off the charts on the pretty to crazy scale. She says that the sun isn't real and that the artificial sun that the government replaced it with is sending out ultra strong UV rays, so we need to buy some of her special sunscreen for a crazy good deal of 3 for 300,000 yen. And the best part is that it's not transphobic. There's no trans rage in this episode. We've come such a long way from Persona 3.
What? Oh no.
And because I was curious, I looked up the playthrough in Japanese to check if it was like in how Persona 5 Royal, only the localization team wasn't homophobic. They didn't change it in the Japanese. But for Reload, they changed it in the Japanese too. It's the same for both of them. In the original, Trish, this is a trans woman, and the boys are grossed out because they think that it's a girl, and then when they find out that it is in fact a girl but is a trans girl, they get grossed out, and the game puts a question mark after pretty lady, and it's horrible. And if you would like a 2-hour rant from Eli about how shitty this is, you can go listen to the July episode of our first season on this game.
I might do that sometime. It's been fun. I'm gonna go, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
No, that just fuck. That's disheartening. But I guess good on Reload for not having that and instead making a really funny joke about a fucking like Alex Jones ass conspiracy theory
Mm-hmm.
My
lady.
my my problem with the character in Reload is that the conspiracy boils down to the sun's rays will hurt you and you need to protect yourself from them, and I'm like, that's that's just that's just
That
true.
listen, that's
The
true,
idea
but
that the sun was replaced with a worse sun is false, but you should still wear sunscreen.
yeah, but she's inventing an extra problem on top of that so she can sell you extremely expensive sunscreen, which is like the explicit like that's what takes it into being an Alex Jones conspiracy. You have to
Yeah.
invent a completely insane fake problem tangentially related to real problems and then sell an extremely expensive bullshit cure.
Sell a supplement to make you angrier and redder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guys strike out with all three sets of girls on the beach when they spot a blonde girl in a blue dress staring out at the ocean. As the camera pans over her, we see that she has no feet and has rivets on her metal skin, marking her as an obvious android of some sort, but the guys only notice her cute anime girl face and they decide to talk her up anyways.
How does she stay upright?
I have no idea. Junpei and Akihiko go up to talk to her, and they are instantly turned down. But when Totino shows up, she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's you!" Confirmation must be made at a more secure location, and she Naruto runs off into the forest.
I do love how she
Yes.
Naruto runs.
I love, like, at first I was annoyed that it took so many times, but then I loved it. So as you're chasing her through the forest, the camera will, like, you'll walk like 5 feet, then the camera will pan around the corner for you and show, I guess, running off. But the animation of her Naruto run from the back looks so stupid. It's hilariously
It's
bad.
so good.
It's fantastic. And so you're forced to see it like 12 times before you eventually catch up to her. And when you do, she says that she's confirmed it. Totino's is the one that she's been looking for, and her primary programming is to be by his side. The boys come in, followed closely by the girls, and then by Akutsuki, and all of them show up. The girls had been looking everywhere for the guys so that we could stop that anti-shadow tank, but Akutsuki says that that's not required anymore, and that this girl named Aigis is the one that he was talking about. He tells Aigis not to leave the lab without permission again, and she says okay. She removes her blue dress and is definitely, absolutely, 100% a robot underneath. Akutsuki says that years ago they tried to make an anti-shadow weapon that could summon a persona in case the shadows ever became unmanageable, and Aigis is the last remaining functional model. But they didn't actually think that she was functional either, but she reactivated herself and has been asserting that she must be close to Totino's this whole week. So Akutsuki said, fine, whatever, and assigns her to seize effective immediately. Meanwhile, elsewhere, we see Shinji doubled over in pain as Russell Brand approaches him. He gives Shinji some capsules, and instead of monetary payment this time, he wants information. Information about Seize and what they're up to in regards to Tartarus and the full moon. He tells them that Seize is trying to defeat the shadows so they can put an end to the dark hour, and they don't like that answer. They say that they have no choice but to intervene now, and that if Shinji is on the party side, well, they'll have to stop him too. But Shinji stands up and walks off and says, "I'm never going to use my power again, not since last time."
Mysterious.
And so then, after a few days of pleasant vacation shenanigans, we return to the dorm with Aigis in tow. She attaches herself to Totino's at the hip, determined to be as close to him as possible. There were 2 more days of school before the true start of summer vacation for some reason. It's like if spring break was 2 days before the end of school, but whatever. And it's after those 2 days at school that Ken moves in officially, and we're coerced into doing a track and field competition. So
Which I hate.
the game skips forward a week. I wonder if you aren't trying to date Kaz or Yuko at this point, like, do they still put you in the track and field?
I don't know.
You know, you do have to choose to join the track and field to start the Kaz and Yuko social link. So I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know what happens if you just never start those social links.
I get that the game wants to give each chunk of a month like at least a bit where days go by quickly, where you're not able to just like it seems like a balance reason. I'm guessing like you don't want to have that many free days in a month between big plot events and also pacing. But th- the oh, I need to go to track today. Scene transition goes to track practice, comes back. All right, I have an evening now. It just happening 5 days in a row was boring, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I do like the actual track competition scene,
Mhm.
It's all right.
because Kaz and Yuko have some cute moments, and also it introduces what's his name? Hayase? Is that
Yeah.
his name?
I say,
Who
yeah.
Social Link is weird and depressing.
Mhm.
We don't get there yet, but his social link is weird and depressing. And also, there's a part about how Kaz and Yuko start talking about this other kid from another school who was supposed to compete but went missing and stuff. And if you pay attention to his name, you might notice that he's one of the missing people in Tartarus that you end up
Mhm.
saving later.
Oh, fun.
And it's just, I like seeing the normal people who don't know anything about this stuff reacting to the actual events going on like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will dive into all of that more next time. For now, I want to check in on the new social links that we uncover. My plan for the social links is to talk about new ones when they intersect with the plot and are come available for the first time, and the ones that I finish whenever I finish them. This week, I finished Odagiri's social link, and he sucks, and there's nothing good to talk about for its whole social link. He's
Which one's Onogiri?
He's
the
the cop.
Yeah, he's the top of
Oh.
the council.
Oh, oh, him.
Yeah, so, yeah, he sucks.
He gets
So
better by the end.
he gets better by the end, but he gets better like
Not a ton better.
not a ton better.
It's like it's police reform better.
Yeah, he gets better in the literal
He
rank
starts
10
wearing a body
event.
cam.
But he gets better like in the last bit of his rank 10 event and has no
Wow.
redeeming qualities for the rest of it. So yeah, screw him. I don't
Well,
have
I
to
mean,
talk about him for the rest of the
he
game.
starts getting better when the teachers are like, "Oh, when we find that kid who was smoking, we need to expel them." And he's like, "No, actually, that's too far and fucked up." And you're like, "Oh, that's an interesting development for his
Mhm.
character." But yeah, he is a cop.
He's a cop. But or now that Fuka has moved in, a new thing in Persona 3 Reload gives you more stuff to do at night. In the original, you kind of just do Tanaka or the monk or go to sleep, and that's basically it for the nighttime. But now you can hang out the dorm with your teammates doing homebody stuff like learning to cook, watching DVDs, gardening, reading, those sorts of things, which
It's
is
I
cute.
love
really
this
cute.
stuff. And
Mhm.
if you do one of these activities with a friend 3 times, they get a special ability. And
Mhm.
let me tell you, do Yukari's as soon as you
Oh?
can, because her first special ability is reduce healing spell costs by half. Her second ability
Ooh.
is do that again. So now they're a quarter of the cost.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
god.
It's ridiculous.
That's fantastic. I'm mad that the 100% guide is making me focus on Junpei and Akihiko first.
I think I'm trying to remember what their special skills are. Akihiko's, it's like improves the duration of buffs on self, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think Junpei's might actually be
Is crit
increasing
chance.
critical rate, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool, actually. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Mm.
Yukari's is ridiculously overpowered. Her healing spells are so cheap
Yeah.
once you unlock that.
Junpei's came in handy on the Hierophant and Lovers bosses because they don't have any weaknesses. But every time Junpei came up to bat, he knocked the shit out of him, knocked him down, and I got to do all out attacks anyways. So that
Fun.
was pretty cool. This week I was able to max my charm, so I was able to take Fuka out. Her social link
Fuka
is
is
it.
courage.
Luca's courage, not charm.
Oh, courage. Yes, I wrote literally the charm twice right next to each other, and I did not notice. Um. So
It's
yeah.
very funny because she's like, "Hey, I've cooked something. Do you want to try it?" And you're like,
Yes.
I need to be as courageous as I can possibly be in order to try this food my friend has made."
Mhm.
Poor girl.
I also love that like at the dorm you can cook with everybody, and Fuka doesn't chime in that she wants to learn how to cook. She's like, no, I'm too
I
nervous. Everybody else can do that. I'm gonna stand back.
so you say you need to have max courage, and you do, but I need to say this because this is a difference, it seems, from the earlier version. In Reload, you don't just need to have max courage, you also need to have started the Fortune social link, which I didn't, and then school ended because we had exams and then summer break, and there was no opportunity for me to start Fortune. I didn't realize this till afterwards, and I couldn't rewind back far enough.
I mean,
So I can't do Fukas. I have max courage and it won't let me.
you can't do Fukas during the summer anyway.
Oh, well, damn.
You can only the party members and basically anyone in a school uniform except Suimitsu, who's always available because you always got to be able to talk to the Gourmet King. They're only available during school, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
Okay, well, I'm still annoyed that I was worried, and I'm still a little worried I might have soft locked myself out of, not soft lock, but like might have like closed off being able to get Fukas, because I know in the PSP version, unlike in Reload, I didn't get Bebe for a while, and then when I went to finally be like, oh, I like Bebe, I want to see what he's like in Portable, I went to the door, it just said, no one ever showed up, so I'm gone now.
Oh yeah, in portable, at least there is a deadline for
Mhm.
starting Baby's Social Link, which is weird. I'm gonna try and see if there's a deadline for starting the Fortune Social Link.
I mean, if there is, it's fine. I'm doing Fuka on the PSP where there wasn't a requirement to do the Fortune one, so I'm fine. But it's just I would also like to see her storyline in Reload as well if I can.
Mhm.
We're going to
Um,
talk about the Fortune one this week, by the way.
who was the fortune one? I wrote people down by name.
Keisuke Hiraga.
Yes, we're about to.
He's a fucking weirdo.
He
Is
is
it
an
just
absolute
me,
fucking
or
weirdo.
is he
I have not
like
met the man.
there are a lot of weird characters in this game, but this guy is weird like in a real person way
Mhm.
that just sort of I'm like, man, you're weird. I don't know what it is about you.
Yeah. He's the art club president, and Fuka invites us to art club, and that's why we have to go to art club first before we start hanging out with Fuka. But yeah, I didn't write. I only did the starting thing with him, so I unlocked his social link, but I haven't gone back to it, so I don't have much to say about him just yet. But yeah, he's a
Spoiler,
fucking
his
weirdo.
entire conflict could be resolved if he became familiar with the idea of having a hobby.
So we also are able to fully start Tanaka's social link now. Turns out that all of the investing bullshit that he's been asking us to do was all a test, and we failed. So he takes us under a wing so that we don't end up as a sucker, and he teaches us how to capitalism and lie and cheat and steal. And it's great. I like him a lot.
It's so
What the fuck?
weird and funny.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And also, like, at first he is like, he introduces himself and he's like, yes, I'm a celebrity, and you're like, who the fuck are you? And he's like, oh, whatever. And then he walks away and he's like, that little shit, a fucking piece of shit kid. And then he realizes you heard him and he's like, no, don't tell anyone that I'm actually evil. I'll do anything. And so you promise, and then you start a social link, and then for the first few links end with him threatening. I can't talk either. You in really weird ways. If you go back on your promise to not tell anyone, like, I'll find where you live and ring your doorbell every night.
One of my favorites is like, I'll sign you up for an online dating profile.
Amazing.
Um,
Stop it! You're making me actually want to do it. I don't
he's good. He's
want
one of my
to.
favorite.
There's nothing to do at night anyway.
I have actually reached a point where I go to bed early every night, and I'm like, no.
No, the night social links are hands down some of my favorites in the game. From the first time
Okay.
through.
Did we introduce Mutatsu the monk?
No, I was about to.
Okay. I
So-
can't remember if we introduced him last week.
Yeah, so it's towards the end of this week. Yuko was like, "Oh hey, there's a weirdo at the Club Escapade who dresses like a monk and hangs out there all the time. So we should stay away from Paulonia at night because he's giving off weird vibes." And Totinos is like, "Weird vibes? I love grown men who give me weird vibes at Paulonia Mall at night. So I'm gonna go check him out."
I have high courage and low wisdom.
Yes. So we go and we start Mutatsu's social links. I didn't get super far into it this time, but so far he drinks and smokes and wastes away in the club every night because his relationship with his son is strained, and his son is always getting into trouble with the law and stuff. And Mutatsu is old and grumpy about it, and he keeps telling Totinos like, "You shouldn't be in a place with all these grown-ups getting drunk. This is not a place for kids. Don't come back." And then you come back every single night to talk to him. And it's great. But then the final one that I unlocked this week, I maxed my charm, and I mean charm this time, and I was able to start Yukari's social link. After the heart-to-heart at the beach, she becomes available, and because you already had the heart-to-heart, you don't have to spend 3 or 4 times making food to decide, oh hey, we should start talking about real stuff. Yukari just dives right into trauma bond right off the top and talks about her dad, the revelations we heard about them, her feelings and stuff like that. And so far it's pretty good. But again, we ended literally the day I got Yukari's first one, so more on that as it develops.
I do appreciate that she starts the social link by apologizing for blowing up at you in Yakushima when you were like, "Hey, I understand what you're going through. Your feelings are valid, and I'm here for you." And she's like, "Hey, fuck you, buddy."
Yeah.
She apologizes for that, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I love
Which,
her.
like, I understand she was going through a lot, but also, like, kind of like, hey, I'm trying to help.
Yeah, she's like, "You think you know me?" It's like, "No, I was."
You think I know? You think you know what it's like to lose a parent? I'm like, I've lost both parents.
Excuse me.
So for now, let's listen to some more kick-ass Persona music, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments for the week.
Can I talk about all my fun girl pro tag moments from Portable,
Yes.
please?
Yes, please.
Okay, well, first of all, just off the top of my head, because you brought up Yukari, I have to bring up that funny thing is that in playing as a girl, Yukari's a social link from the start of the game, basically. No special stuff required. She's ready to hang out with you. So I'm excited to get to reload to where I can start doing it, quote unquote, as a guy. But I've been really enjoying her social link so far in that. More fun, though, in the Lover's Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Playing as a girl, if you have... So, whether you bring Akihiko or Junpei with you into the dungeon, one of them is going to be who you have the thing with, because, heteronormativity or whatever, is what I would say, except if you bring only one guy with you, and Yukari and Mitsuru, you end up in a room with a guy, and then when you meet up with Mitsuru and Yukari, it's like, hey, did anything weird happen with you? And Mitsuru goes, no! Nothing happened at all! And it's like, Oh, you two are being gay. Okay, thumbs up. Cool.
Yeah. Junpei and Akihiko have very similar things if your party is Junpei, Akihiko, and Yukari. So,
Okay, wonderful. I
yeah.
love that. I love that that is the case, but I'm obviously I'll just, Mitsuru and Yukari do have some vibes. The
Mhm.
plot development is just extra fuel for it. Also, there's just the scene, either version of the game at the beach when everyone's like reacting to the girls in their swimwear, and then Mitsuru shows up, and Yukari and Fuka are both like, "Oh God, pretty!
Yeah,
You're so gorgeous."
I love that scene so much because like Yukari walks out and the guys are all like wolf whistling, etc. And then Fuka walks out and they're like, "Oh yeah!" And then Mitsuru walks out and Yukari and Fuka are like, "Woo! Yay, Mitsuru!" And they're the ones that are the pervs for Mitsuru, and it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. Speaking of so as much as I did have some fun with the reload version of Operation Hit on Hot Babes, that was fun, and especially with the fact that playing with a mod, so it feels like it's two dudes and their lesbian friend going out to hit on girls. I will say I honestly prefer the version of all of that in the portable as playing as the girl as Katone, because you get to see that stuff in the same way that in the guy version you get a flash to like what the girls are currently doing. With that, it's
Mhm.
you're with the girls and you get a flash what the boys are doing, and you get to see them do that whole thing with it's just the two of them, and it's so horribly pathetic. I love it. They're absolute fucking losers. It's also incredibly truncated, which I think makes the joke better rather than
Mhm.
playing it out as the joke went on a little long. I felt like in Reload,
Mhm.
and then you get to the bit where they talk to Igus, and Igus is like, "Wait a minute, I've detected her," and she just runs off. And then they come to her coming up to you and being very gay at you, and then they're like, "Oh, that's why she didn't like us."
That's
Like
fantastic.
it literally, I'm not making a Trish joke. The game says, "Oh, that's why she didn't like us flirting with her. It's because she's gay,"
Mhm.
which
Love to see it.
appreciate it.
I
I
do
love gay
think
robots.
um I do think a lot of the writing during Operation Beach Fling is really funny. Like
Mhm.
Yes.
when they're trying to make conversation with two of the girls and like, "Oh yeah, we're here because we got invited to our friend's vacation home," and they're like, "Oh, your friend has a vacation home in Yakushima. That sounds really nice. We had to, save up a bunch of money to come here, but that sounds cool too."
Yeah, I love that
Oh my
bit.
god.
A lot of the writing I thought was really funny. You didn't talk about Junpei being a little shit in the
Oh yeah,
latter half
Jinpei's
of
whole
it.
character arc. It was
He
interesting.
he has a character arc about being jealous of the leader getting all the attention and feeling, which later feeds into a overall plot line of him feeling useless and worthless,
Mhm.
and like he doesn't have anything he can do except have this persona power, and he's not even that good at it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when I have to cast a fire spell, you do so little damage with that.
I do just switch to my persona that has a fire spell. Let's be honest. Yeah, no, that was a really as someone who's still like Junpei's all right. That arc definitely made me more invested in his character. I think it was well done. He was a little shit, and I appreciate seeing a teenager being a little shit in a way that was like, yeah, yeah, that's fair. You're a little angsty dude.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of differences between Portable and Reload and Fess, uh, in Persona 3 Portable, they do one of my favorite uh, like ludonarrative jokes. And
Oh,
so when the group is all hanging out at the beach, and they're picking on Junpei.
Yes.
Akihiko says it's time for an all-out attack, and in Persona 3 Portable, it brings up the all-out attack menu, and you press the button to do the all-out attack on Junpei, and it's hilarious. And they brought it to Persona 3 Reload, and it made me so happy. It
It's so
helped
good.
that seeing it in 3D, has filled up her gun hands with water because they said they
Yes.
should get a water gun, and she's just like hosing
Blasted.
Junpei down. It's fantastic.
It's,
And his voice acting is really good.
Mhm.
it's like
I love that scene. And
It's a
also, it's
great-
funny how it's like, our good friend Igus, who we can have this laugh with. I'm like, we just met her, and she is already bullying Junpei.
She'll fit right in.
She'll fit right in, exactly. Yeah, so as someone who, having like been around this game for so long, and being a queer trans woman, I've heard a lot about Igus. Igus is popular in a lot of spaces I frequent. I've only known Igus for a couple of weeks in game and about 1 week in real life, and I would do anything for her. She's incredible.
Yes.
I mean, it's kind of a low bar for me. I love AI characters. I love my datas. I love. I'm not coming up with any other examples off the top of my head, but I love AIs learning to be human, sort of shit, or not even learning to be human, but just embracing who they are, even as just AI. Like Coco, just AI, incredible, love it to death. I guess is great. The fact that she's also the only gay love interest in the series only makes it better. I mean, it doesn't make it better. I wish there was more of them, but the fact that she is I could be gay with her is great. Setting those things aside, my last memmom is actually less fun, silly, and more like, oh, actually, this is interesting. And as the person who doesn't know this game forwards and backwards, me poking at themes that I think I'm noticing, but maybe I'm just full of shit. Where when you're talking to Yukari on vacation, there's a point where she talks about how it's weird. Like they talk about, like, oh, the dark hour is going to happen, so we should probably go get back. And how she's like, yeah, it's weird. Everyone else is just completely unaware of this thing, and now we've had our innocence stripped from us, and that gives us the power to do something about it. And I found that just like a really fascinating thematic concept, as like looking at the dark hour, at the knowledge of it and what you can do with it, as a sort of like opening your eyes to the sort of injustices in the world, or the systems of power that most people choose to not pay attention to, and how in doing so you can either do what Cease is doing and try to work to make a better place out of it and to use that knowledge for good, or you can do what these villains are doing and just like be dicks about it and make it worse. And I don't know, I think there's some thematic potential there. I kind of like that. That's a fun idea. I might be reading too much into this, and it's not actually there, but whatever.
I will say nothing.
Good.
What I will say is that Elizabeth continues to be fantastic. And speaking of characters that are AIs learning to love, she's not an AI, but she basically is.
He basically is.
So one of the quests she can give you this week is there's a sick, hungry cat out at the city, outskirts, and so you
Man,
can.
I tried for so long to figure out how to feed that cat. Turns out Elizabeth has to tell you to do it first.
Mm-hmm. So you bring the cat food over and over, and then eventually the cat feels better, runs off to go live a happy life, and you come back to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth says, I see you have successfully fed the hungry cat. Thank you. I can feel relief in the very cockles of my heart.
I forget. We are introduced to Koromaru this week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was this week or last week, but yeah, we are introduced to him, but he is just an introduction so far.
Yeah, there's a brief scene where Fuka and Yukari are playing with this dog outside the dorm, and you're like, hey, what's with this dog? And they say it's a... They say, and also a passerby fills in details, that this dog's name is Koromaru, and he lives at the nearby shrine. Ever since his owner, who was a priest, died, some people have tried to take the dog in because people around town know him and love him, but Koromaru always would run back to the shrine, wouldn't let anyone take him in. because he's very loyal and precious, and he'll end up being a character, and I love him.
I love him so much.
I
It's a
would die
doggo.
for him.
I
Yeah.
love a doggo.
Yeah, there's a reason when I made the Discord bots for our Discord that have been turned off since I lost my old computer, but whatever, they're still there in spirit. The Aegis bot does all of the things, but there's a Koromaru bot where every time you react with anything with the Koromaru emoji, Koromaru also reacts with the Koromaru emoji and says woof, and he's perfect and I love him.
Oh,
I need to fix those. That's what I should spend some time doing. Fix Koromaru. It's time.
The like I'm having trouble thinking of memorable moments because all my memorable moments are later and relate to Koromaru.
Yeah.
oh, the boy.
A couple small things that I really liked this week. Because we have so much higher graphics and camera angles that we can use in this game, you can see what your party members are doing when they're lounging around in the lobby instead of it just being they all have one animation. And Yukari frequently will just be like laid back on the couch relaxing with a big ass box of Pocky and just snacking on Pocky all night, and it's very good. I like it a lot. Um, when you unlock the DVD player, it's Fuka's DVD player, and she goes, "Oh, I normally just watch DVDs in my room, but I figured I could bring the DVD player down here because I like colors more whenever I watch it on a CRT." Which I love her. She has good opinions.
He's so good. Fuka's great.
And then one Sunday hang that I had with Chihiro, she at the end of it, she's like, "Is it okay if I walk you home?" Well, I mean, part of the way home, in reference to her one time where she walks all the way in the opposite direction of her house, which I think is very good. And then I think that's all the ones that I had written down. But yeah, this game is good and I like it, and I'm very glad that it's not transphobic anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm very glad it's not, and I'm very sad to hear that it was originally, but I'm also not surprised because one of the first things I learned about the Persona series was, wow, a lot of queerphobia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like when the queerphobia in Persona 5 happened, and Persona 5 was a very popular game, so it blew up a lot. Everybody was like, "Hey, Persona team, this isn't cool." But Persona team, which is now the Metaphor Refantagio team, were like, "Too bad. It's important to us that we're homophobic in this game," and they didn't change it, and only the localization team did. But the new Persona team, which will be the ones making Persona 6, made this game to wet their whistle. You know what I said earlier about picking a game that already exists so you can focus on learning the craft? Here they are. They're doing it. But
Yay!
but they changed it in the Japanese. So Persona 6 is probably going to be the first Persona game that is not queerphobic. It's a pretty low bar, but
Low bar. I'm gonna raise the bar up slightly and go, can we get it a queer positive? Can we get a can I please get a Persona game where I can play a gay person?
I would absolutely love that. We'll see what Persona 6 does now that they're done with Persona 3 Reload. But yeah, I'm so happy that technically there might be something else in this game that is a lighter like queerphobic something happening, and I'm not familiar with it. But
Okay.
in the histories of it, the biggest thing that made this game unpalatable was Operation Babe Hunt. And basically you're like, this game is awesome, but on July 21st, you're just turn your brain off for a second, don't think about it, and you'll be fine. But now it doesn't have that. So far, the new Persona team's only Persona game is the most queer positive game that they've done so far. So I'm looking forward to Persona 6 whenever it happens.
Man, on YouTube, I keep getting recommendations for videos that are extremely fake Persona 6 stuff. Ugh. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm wondering. There's so many of them. Part of them, part of me is like, is this some sort of fan project? But why would you make a fan project called Persona 6 when there's every reason to believe there will be an actual game called Persona 6?
Mm-hmm.
Good question.
Also, the fake ass logo they all use is really bad.
What if all this turned out to be real and Atlas was trying to just like get some viral marketing going and everybody hates it and they're like, well, shit, I guess we'll try again.
Let me show y'all the fake ass logo that I keep seeing.
Yeah, I
It's
don't like that.
it's a couple not who hasn't quite figured out how to 69.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. But I also hope that it's not green. I know that we haven't had a green one yet, but green is not as pleasing on the eyes as blue and yellow and red. Green just kind of makes me sick to look at it. So I hope it's not green. Or if it's green, it's like a more muted green and not the one that they have right there. But anything else anyone wants to say about the beach episode?
Not that I can think of now.
Cool. So that will do it for the week. If you liked what you heard, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club and toss us some cash to help us cover the cost of running the show. If you sign up for a monthly contribution, you'll get some extra benefits. $1 a month, and you'll get the Gadabout tier and get access to our bonus feed, where this week we are continuing Tales of Eternia. For me and Bernard is the first time in several weeks. Because we had built up a buffer and then wasted the entire buffer. But we're back and excited for that game to be over, so I don't have to write 2 things of notes each week.
You insisted on doing that. I will say
It's
like,
true.
do you want me to take over Tales of Eternia? You were like, no.
No, it'll be fine.
And you were very insistent on doing Persona 3, so
Yeah, I'm very excited to do Persona 3 because I also think the first Persona series, despite it being one of our populars, I think was my worst job as a notes doer. It was my first time up at bat, so that's why it was really bad. But I've always thought that I could do better, and I feel like I am doing better now. But you also get access to our polls to decide the games that we play next. We are just a couple weeks out from announcing the next round of voting, and I am very excited for that. Depends on if we keep up the pace of doing 1.5 to 2 moons each week. The first time around, we just did 1 month a week, and so it was like 11 or 12 episodes. But we're moving way faster than that now. So, whomst can say it'll be soon.
Oops.
Yes, whomst. If you toss us $5 or more a month, you'll get the Warrior tier, where you get all of the above, but we also read out your names, like shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, It's Claire Time, Frosthair, Dragon Slayer 19, Florist, Kaldron, Freddy Rodriguez, 8Ron524, and Jfro Prime. And then at $20 a month, you become a Luminary, and you get to also shout out something that you want each week. So shoutouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shoutouts to Vimk, who wants you to play Legend of Legaia, and not Legend of Legaia 2 Dual Saga, because it kind of sucks. But they gave me permission to start talking about Legaia 2 Dual Saga, so I'm going to start doing that because I am scraping the bottom of the barrel for Legend of Legaia facts. So I have a new game to talk about. And shoutouts to Carr, who is a dentist. So he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth. And he says to brush your teeth twice a day. Most importantly, the time right before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye.